Hey, you guys, what's up? Welcome and thanks so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Easy the Crochet Lady, and I have a fresh new beanie pattern for you guys. So if you are ready, go ahead and grab your supplies. Supplies for today were the Clover brand size 6mm, and no, I'm not getting sponsored or anything. I just happen to really like this brand of crochet hook. And I chose this size because for a beanie, sometimes if you choose a smaller size, it takes longer to work. Not only that, the tension is just a little too tight for the head. So the other thing that we're going to be using also is a stitch marker, a couple of different times, and you'll need a handy little yarn needle. I'll also be demonstrating how to make a pom-pom like this one using the Clover brand pom-pom maker. And the yarn choice that I chose today was Red Heart Granny Square. And I'm not sure which color this is, but it's really pretty. And I just like it because, you know, I don't have to create any stripes. It just automatically does it with this particular stitch pattern. All right. So if you guys are ready to get started to work this super easy, beginner-friendly camel stitch beanie, go ahead and grab your stuff, and I will see you in just 1 second. Okay, so we have our chain here, and I've gone ahead and taken out my hook from this last loop here. First thing you're going to want to do is grab a stitch marker and mark this ridge here that your last loop is coming out of, because it gets lost later on, and it's much easier to find if it has a stitch marker in it already. After that, you're going to making sure your chain is not twisted. Let me move this up a little bit here. Okay, so this is what your item looks like. You're going to insert your hook back into that loop, back into the first ridge, just like this, from the very first chain. Take your working loop and just slip it over like so. And then we're going to tighten that up a little bit, just like that. Grab your working yarn, yarn over and pull up a loop, chain one, single crochet in that same space where you just chained one. And we have our little tail here from the first chain. You're just going to slip that back like this. Just slip it to the back. That way you don't have to deal with it anymore. And we're just going to proceed with single crochet in all of the other back ridges. Once you're finished with all of your single crochet, I'll meet you right back over here where we will join this round. So now we are finished with our foundation round, and we're just going to finish this off. I'm going to use an invisible close. How I like to do it, you can do whatever method suits you the best. These are obviously super cheap. Okay, that barely made it. My goodness, let's get rid of those. All right, and we're going to thread our needle. Those are seriously going in the garbage, like as soon as I'm done with this frame. Okay, and I'm just gonna take out my stitch marker because, you know, obviously I've crocheted in there already. Okay, and so this is what you have, just like this. Now we have our first single crochet and our second one. So we're going to take our yarn here that's threaded, and we're going to insert it into the horizontal loops through the front of the, not the first, but the second single crochet. And then just insert it into the back of the same stitch that your yarn is coming out of, so the last stitch you made. All right. And now we have a that's actually kind of a big loop right there. But anyway, we have a really nice bottom. Okay, it's all the same evenness. There's no like weird little discrepancies at the bottom to where you can tell that this is definitely, you know, the back. Okay, so the next step from here is grab your hook and your yarn, and we're going to start round 1. We're going to start with a standing front post double crochet. So make a slip knot around your hook just like this, and go ahead and yarn over and just hold that yarn over just like that. And I'm going to come into a stitch a few stitches away from where I ended my foundation round. So we're just going to insert our hook just like this in between any single crochet, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull up through 2 loops twice. And there we have our standing front post double crochet. And we're just going to alternate. So the next one would be a back post. So we're going to insert our hook from the back, just like that. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 times. And now we have our back post. And let's just keep doing that. Did I do that right? Or is that 2 front ones? That's 2 front ones. So we've got front, back, front. Now I need to do a back one. There we go. Now we're on track. Whoops. Okay, so go ahead and continue all the way around, and I will see you right back over here where we start round 2. All right, so we have finished all of the post crochets for round 1. And then we're just going to join. I'm going to join in the same way that I joined the foundation row or round. And I'm only going to join this way these 2 times until we get to the crown. Otherwise, all the other rounds are just going to be non-stop, meaning we won't be snipping off any yarn. So in through the front loops, back into the stitch you were just working, just like that, and even that up right there. Okay, there we go. So now everything is nice and even to start round 2. Okay, so to start round 2, we're going to start off with a slip knot on our hook, just like this. And then we're going to do a yarn over and hold it with our finger, just like before. And for this round, I'm going to start in just any back post double crochet. So insert your hook into... So now, before we get started, we have our top horizontal loops that we always enter in through like that, okay? But for this particular pattern, we're going to enter our hook into this loop right here. Let me grab all of that yarn there. Okay. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And then holding your standing or your slip knot there, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 for a half double crochet. And we're going to keep on doing that in all of these loops. in the back. And you won't be able to see how it's going to look for the first round or so. Go ahead and continue in this manner until we get right back over to right here. Okay, so we are ready to repeat round 2, and so we have our first half double crochet here and our last one. And instead of joining, what I like to do with this particular stitch pattern is just kind of pull that over, that tail from the first half double crochet. Just pull it over and hold it with your finger, and you can weave this in, you know, afterward, but this is just how I like to transition. So yarn over and then insert your hook into the back loop, just like we have been doing, of the next stitch, and then make your half double crochet. And so pull that back there. So this is your join, and so you can see how there's going to be a little teeny space there, but once you weave this in, it's going to be perfect. So this is what your transition is going to look like. Just spiral. So let's just keep going. And you don't want to do this super tight, because the tighter you do it, the harder it is to get into these loops in the back with your hook, especially if you're using a fatter yarn. So let's just keep going round and round until our project reaches the height that we want it. All right, see you in just a few. Ooh, I love this. I really, really love this color scheme. I like the fact that I don't have to do any changing of the colors to have a nice stripe effect. So it's coming along really nice. Just a few more rounds and we will be ready for the crown. Okay, so we've got all the rounds that we want, and now it's time for the crown. And believe it or not, we're going to do the crown the same in the same stitch format. However, we're going to be using a stitch marker to mark the first one, and then after that it doesn't really matter. So you're just going to continue around, but instead of just making you know, one in each stitch, we're going to do one. I'm just going to mark that just for, you know, video's sake here. Two, and then we're going to decrease once. So one stitch, two stitch, decrease one. And we're going to repeat that all the way around until we get right back to our first stitch of the crown round. We're back at the first stitch of our crown here, the marked stitch. And we're just going to keep this same pattern sequence going, meaning we're going to use the same decrease method for each round until we close the top. So if you ended with two half double crochet, like, you know, one in one stitch, one in the other, then the next one would be a decrease. Whoops. And of course you don't have to keep marking the beginning, because it really doesn't matter in this particular case, now that we know where we are and what we're doing. Oops. And let's see how this looks in just a few rounds. And we won't crochet it until there's absolutely not a hole left. We're going to leave about an inch worth of hole up at the top so that we can seam it together. Yippee! We're almost finished. All right, so we have our small opening at the top, and there's probably, I want to say, let's see, about 2, 4, 6, 8 stitches, you know, that are left there. So we're just really basically going to sew into those. And so go ahead and cut your tail. Oh, leave enough to sew in, weave in. We're not really going to sew, it's just weaving in. Pretty basic. And then just pull your yarn up. Sorry, this part of the yarn happened to be dark where my opening ended, so. And then all we're going to do is take your needle and push it on the inside like that so that our item is inside out. Alrighty. And then you're just going to, this is how I do it. There are numerous ways to sew this together, but this is how I'm going to do it. And take your needle. I hate that these loops are dark. And I'm going to grab the loop that's on the outside. So that, you know, you have your normal 2 horizontal loops. I'm going to grab the outside one. Just like that. And of each stitch. And back down to the last loop here. And then I'm just going to pull this closed. So just like that. And then go ahead and weave your yarn in. And before I do though, I always take a look and see what it looks like on the other side. And that is perfect. Now we can add a pom-pom up here or something really cute. Or you could just leave it as it is. Totally up to you. If you've never made a pom-pom using a pom-pom maker, well, here is a small tutorial. This is just the little, like, medium-sized pom-pom that we're going to make today, and you're just going to peel apart, just like that, one end. both ends come open, but we're only going to wrap one end at a time. And so you just grab your yarn. Of course, everyone probably does this a little differently. I'm just going to wrap that like that and hold those. Oops. And just, whoops, wrap it around. Get that off of there. And you're just going to keep on wrapping evenly. All the way down to the very edges. And this does take a few minutes. So once your item is wrapped, then we're going to wrap the other side the same way. Okay, so we've wrapped our one side, and you can see it's super fat and thick in there, and when you push it together, it kind of is like a little bit rigid. I mean stiff, not rigid, but stiff. And that's how you want it. You want it to be thick enough to where it slides on, not so thick that you can't get it over, but you don't want it to be too thin, otherwise your pom-pom will just fall apart. So snap that part on just like that, unwrap the other side, and wrap it just like this one. Okay, so we have both sides stuffed in our pom-pom maker. I'm just going to go ahead and snip that off. And the next thing we're going to need is an X-Acto knife, and this is how I do it. You don't have to do it this way, of course. If you have really great scissors, that also helps. So from here, what we are going to do is take your X-Acto knife, and you're going to, sometimes I go the other way. It's easier to go the other way. Just split those open. Make sure you don't cut your hand. It's super thick, like so many layers of yarn. All right, and there's obviously a little guideline in there that keeps you from, you know, just totally mutilating yourself while you're doing this. Kids, don't be trying this at home without parental supervision. And then we're going to do the same thing to this side. Okay, so we have our pom-pom split on both sides, and then you're going to need a long string. I like to double mine for security. And then just take your pom-pom maker, and you're going to slide your yarn in between that slot, and it's going to pop through. You'll see here, just like this, and pull it over. And secure it. And I'm going to wrap it around. Don't pull it so tight that your yarn breaks, because sometimes that can happen, you know. You just get so, you know, overzealous there. You snap the yarn. And then I'm going to secure it on the other end. And tie it one more time here. And pull this through. I mean, you don't have to go through all these measures. I'm just doing this, you know, just because. Okay. Pull that through there, maybe, make it easier. And then all right. So we've got our pom-pom nice and secure. Hold on. Let me lift up these things first. Like that. Sorry about that. I'm like, why isn't this coming apart? Now, you just snap it apart just like that. And you can use your strings to secure your pom-pom onto your hat. You're gonna have to shave it up a little bit though. You wanna like snip off, you know, these little uneven parts until it's nice and round and fluffy. To attach your pom-pom, simply weave in your tail into a long or a yarn needle, your long tail, whatever, and insert it into the middle of your crown just like this, and pull your pom-pom on. And then you're just going to weave it in however you like in here to where it's not pulling so tight, and then attach those two yarns and snip it off. All right, you guys, we have reached the conclusion, and thanks so much once again for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. All right, until next time, peace out. Chit chat in the near future.